All right, well, we are here with Danny, who I played college soccer with. She's a Chicago Red Star. But before we get into all your accolades, which I know you're going to love because you love when people talk about you, how is quarantine going? I imagine your life's changed drastically, seeing that you're in a small apartment in a major city. And at this point, you'd probably, be training would you be in games by now?
Yeah, so we would be 2 games in right now, which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah. So how, I'm just curious, how are you guys adjusting to I think generally everybody feels like a caged animal, but when you're an athlete and every day you're normally expending yourself 4, 5, 6 hours in a gym or on a field, and now it's kind of nothing to that sort's going on. I mean, I'm sure you guys are trying to stay into shape, but how are you adjusting to kind of this sedentary life that we're all experiencing currently?
Yeah, it's definitely hard. I feel like at first we were like, oh, this will be nice. We can focus on the things we want to focus on with no stress of going to training or no, we don't have to prepare for a game. We just, do what we want to do, take care of our bodies kind of thing. And then as time went on, 2 weeks in, we Morgan, Brian's my roommate. We looked at each other and we were like, I don't know how much more of this at home stuff we can do, because it's different when you your workout is playing soccer, whereas now it's okay, let's go for a run around the city, and then maybe we'll do some weights at home with what we have, and we'll just go from there. And it's every day it's we never know how we'll feel. We wake up, we're we'll just, today's off. Next day it's okay, we have some motivation, let's do something. And it's just we're all over the place. It's hard. And we didn't feel like this was gonna happen, but now we're kind of going crazy.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I feel I'm okay, it's 9 a.m. I'm gonna do it in an hour. Okay, it's 11. Okay, let me eat lunch, and then 2 o'clock I'll do something, and then it's 6, and I'm okay, I'll have a glass of wine.
I know. if we don't wake up and work out right away, we're just recovery day. We'll do some at-home stretching, yoga, keep it light,
Serve the body. Yeah. Well, you guys have been super funny over social. I mean, the creations have been interesting. So what else are you guys doing to kind of fill your time? I know you guys been cooking, a little Netflix and chill. How's that going?
Yeah, so we've been binge watching Homeland, which we love.
Oh yeah, good show.
Yeah, but the past couple of days we were kind of okay, we need to, maybe read a book, go for a walk, start doing other stuff, because we were going crazy just watching TV. We just didn't. I mean, it doesn't feel great when you go through 8 episodes and you're okay, should we eat? It's just you forget.
Yeah.
And then
you're I'm gonna make a 3-hour meal just because I can. Yeah.
Yesterday Morgan and I didn't eat a real meal until 4 p.m. And we were just okay, that's not okay. We're supposed to be taking care of our bodies, and we're eating our first meal with a veggie in it at 4. So
yeah, the snacking it's real right now. I feel you there. It's just
lots of snacking
here and there.
Lots of snacking, baking. So at first when this all started, we were we're not going to do TikTok. That's not going to be a thing. And then of course,
didn't we all?
I know, everyone says it. They're we're too old for TikTok. We're too mature for it. We're not doing it. And then of course we're taking over the Chicago Red Stars Instagram, and we're what content do the people want to see? So we were we're looking at all the inboxes, and they're TikTok, you guys should start TikTok. So we're okay, let's just try it. And then of course, we start, and we were TikToking. Is that even what you would call it? I don't even know.
Just add it to the vocabulary.
It was 6 hours of just videos. And then we both looked at each other. We're that's definitely the workout for the day. It's a workout.
I mean, I've been watching a lot of it. And I'm very humbled. Some of the choreographing that's going on I'm did you just do that? Or have you been planning for this for a few days now? Because that would take me 2 weeks to get
100%. These people must take a whole day to do one dance, one TikTok, a whole day.
Oh my gosh.
But
So how are you guys staying somewhat together as a team? I mean, I know it's kind of wild right now. We were me and my mom were watching my mother, who, if anyone knows her, she's not a big sports person. There was like a rerun of a football game on, and she was like, "Oh, I miss live sports." I'm like, "Oh my God, now you know it's really hitting a bad point." What like how are you guys kind of staying together, and like what have you been has there been any communication as like when things may at least you guys can get like training again, or I know that's kind of up in the air right now, but
yeah, so like our new training date got pushed back to May 15th, which I don't foresee happening, but I
yeah.
mean, we don't know. Kind of just taking it day by day. And then, I mean, here in Illinois, apparently there's a stay at home until May 30th or something. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that affects us only or how they're gonna deal with it. But that's our new training date. We're kind of staying connected as a team through Zoom. I mean, you've probably you didn't hear it first here. Zoom
Yeah.
is like the only way to stay connected, I feel like. So we've been doing team meetings on Zoom. I think it's a little different with the Red Stars this year just because we have a lot of new faces. So it's hard for our coach to, kind of
Yeah.
go over tactics because we don't really know how we're going to gel or play this year just because we have like 4 or 5 new faces and also a lot of new draft picks. So it's hard for our coaches to give us any idea of how we want to play. So yeah, day by day, just, hoping we can get back on the field together, at least in small groups would be nice so we can get, some sort of training, real training in. But yeah, fingers crossed that starts soon.
Yeah, I mean, this really puts a lot into perspective. Hopefully that they can at least push your season back a little bit and get a decent amount of games in. Um, Especially with like everything else being canceled right now. We would love to see more soccer.
I
So let's
know.
let's like I think it makes sense to kind of go back a little bit because I don't know necessarily if everyone knows part of your story. I know for myself, when I got to Virginia, you were already like more or less a superstar. And for people that don't know, you were very successful. You've been on the national team, you've been on the U23 team. You have a lot of records at Virginia. You've been successful with the Red Stars. So I guess we'll start at Virginia. Like one kind of in your recruitment process, like why did you pick Virginia? And also just like I think it's fair to say that you were someone who like came in really good, but you also evolved a lot in your 4 years. And a lot of people probably don't know, but you were an academic All-American. So you also had that like really strong academic side. So how have you kind of found balance in terms of like your early on in your career going to Virginia and balancing like academics and work, but also making sure you're kind of progressing as a player through that process?
Yeah, so when I was looking at colleges, I feel like I always wanted to kind of balance academics and athletics, and that was like the main thing for me when I was looking, when I was going through the process. And I feel like I wanted to play at a really good soccer school, but at the same time, academics mean a lot to me, and I feel like soccer isn't the end all be all, and I definitely want to take my life somewhere else after soccer. So it was important for me to be able to focus on academics as well. So that was key for me in college. And I think when I visited Virginia, I knew the head coach from regional camp, ODP regional camp. So he had coached me once before, and it's funny because when he was my coach, he was the only regional coach that didn't actually like play me in the games.
I didn't know that.
So,
That's funny.
so, and I had done ODP regional camps for like 3-4 years, and I had always been a starter for the regional team. And the one time he was the coach, I just, didn't see the field. So, it was funny when I was going through the process, I feel like I had visited 4 or 5 other schools, and they all wanted me, and the one school that I wanted to go to was UVA, and I felt as if the coaches didn't really want me. So that was hard for me at first because every time they would come see me play, I would get really nervous because I was like, this is where I want to go, like I need to impress them, and I put so much pressure on myself. So when they would come, I wouldn't play my best, and they'd kind of be like, hey Danny, like we need more from you, like you say you're this, you say you're that, we feel like you can be that, but you need to show us, kind of thing. And then I had a really good talk with the head coach, Steve Swanson, and he was like, hey, look, like, we really want you to come. We think you're a great person. We feel like you can evolve a lot here. We're going to send our assistant coach, Carrie, out to come see you play in a game. And so I was like excited in the sense that I felt like he kind of did want me there, but he just needed to see it. So like, it kind of like gave me some like a free feeling. So I played really well in the game, and the assistant coach was like, hey, like that's what we needed. We needed to see that. And so I got a phone call basically saying like, we want you to come, like, let's talk, let's negotiate something, kind of thing. So I wound up like right after that phone call committing to UVA. So I went to UVA, and then it was a tough journey for me there. It wasn't all easy. I didn't just come in, I wasn't a starter, and that was hard for me just because I played at PDA where on my club team where I was a starter, and my coach kind of gave me the freedom to do whatever I wanted. If I wanted to, just it sounds ridiculous, but if I wanted to just stand at the half line and wait for the ball, I could do that. Like whatever I wanted, however I was gonna score goals or get assists, whatever it was, he just let me do it. And I never really learned that there's both sides of the ball. Like, I need to defend and also attack. So when I came to UVA, I really struggled with that because, I would lose the ball and kind of walk back. And I feel, and Steve one time pulled me aside and was like, okay, that is not okay. Like, whatever that was, don't do that. If you're going to go on a dribble and lose the ball, you need to chase the person down and get it back. And I was like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense.
He's always honest, that's for sure.
Yeah, which was nice because he was always very blunt. He told you how straightforward how it was. He was never going to sugarcoat anything. So, which actually really helped me. So there was, one turnaround moment where it was my freshman year and I had lost the ball. My freshman year, I was only playing the last like 15 minutes of each half, which is crazy to see like how like much I evolved over the years. But so there was one point in my freshman year where I had lost the ball in a game, and I had just like stopped. I just started walking, and one of my teammates, actually Morgan Bryan, was sprinting past me to like chase this girl down to win the ball back. So of course, like, Steve like really like wanted to show this clip in team film. So like we all get into the like video room, and the first clip goes on the board, and he goes, so Colaprico, you want to show me what's going on here, or tell us all what you're thinking. And I was mortified to the like point where I was like, I will never not chase someone down. I don't care if it's me. I don't care if it's someone else who loses it, but I will always chase this person down and try to get the ball back. And like, ever since that moment, I feel like I just had this mentality of like, get the ball, like win the ball. And it was almost like I went from a very attacking player to like a defensive minded player where I just wanted to like, this sounds bad, but like wreck people, but not in a bad way. But I just wanted to get the ball and like tackle them and, put like my foot down and be like, yo, I'm here.
Especially because, fair enough, you're underestimated because you're not the tallest person, but I think people don't realize that. Like, I used to be amazed. They did a goal kick. I'm like, she just out jumped a 6'1" girl. Yes, that's real.
Yeah, no, that's kind of going off that, which is funny, is that like I am not the tallest person. I'm only 5'3", so a lot of people are like, yeah, when we're gonna kick goal kicks, let's kick it towards Danny so we can win them. And like, I like took that to heart. I was like, oh yeah, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna win this. I don't care how tall you are. I don't care if you're 6 foot. Like, I'm getting to this ball first. So yeah. I'd say like that's kind of how my career at EVA started. And after that, I was a lot better with it. And, I did work on both sides of the ball, and I had a different mentality, which, helped me evolve as a player. Cause I feel like I was a good player, but I mean, it's not it's not that difficult to be a good player in club, I feel like. But once the, pool is narrowed down and you're now at a really good college where all the players are good, you kind of have to, take your game to a next level to see the field. So, yeah. So then I'd say over my 3 years, I evolved a lot as a player, and I wouldn't be where I am today without my 4 years at UVA. And I owe it to my teammates and the coaching staff there.
I don't know. It's just funny that you brought up those film sessions, because I don't know about any other player, but sometimes what you think happened in the game is not the reality. And when Steve would pull those up, I'd be in the back room like, oh Lord, please don't let it be that one play that I forgot to run back, because he would find it. And you're like, okay, I'm going to have to explain this. There's no explanation. I just didn't run. But I think you bring up a good point, though, about like being able to take criticism. I think that's always tough, especially when you're at I think generally if you're at Virginia, you're playing professionally, you're a good player. And sometimes it's like hard to have someone be like, that's not good enough. And having to take that in, internalize it, and not let it defeat you, but also push it into something good. How can I improve? How can I get better? And
I feel like when a lot of players, take criticism like not very well. And I think it's important as a player to trust your coaching staff and trust your teammates, knowing that the only reason they're either calling you out for something or telling you to do something differently is because they care and they want to help, and they expect better from you, and they know you have it in yourself to do it. So they wouldn't be like saying something unless they were trying to, help you out and like improve your game. So that's important, I feel like, which I didn't realize until I was in college. But yeah.
So getting into your career, which frankly, I can't believe it's already 6 years in Chicago, and you've played that long and have evolved so much. But I think what's cool is that you are one of the players, like many that are in your age group, that have kind of seen the evolution of the NWSL. So I definitely want you to touch a little bit on how that you've seen that improvement over time in terms of like just the conditions and playing and fans and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm curious kind of like what I think people also get a false perception of what it's like to be a professional athlete, and better than anyone that it's a lot of hard work, and you're not necessarily being compensated in a way that's going to give you this lavish lifestyle or allow you to pay for all these things. But yeah, kind of talk about how it's been over the last 6 years in terms of like evolving with the league and the game, and also kind of sustaining, that chip, every year. I don't know how much people know about your career with Chicago or Chicago generally. I didn't know it as much until I kind of started reading about you guys, but you've been very close in terms of being on the cusp of like championships and getting there. And I think it's hard, right, to put all that time into one season and then not get the result you want. And I know you guys have really been knocking on the door. So how do you kind of sustain like your pursuit beyond the passion you have for soccer? I think it's a lot of work. So what keeps you kind of driving towards those goals?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty simple. I feel like a lot of, women's soccer players were doing it because we just simply love the sport so much. And it only makes it easier that I'm playing on a team where I love each and every one of my teammates so much, and we all get along and mesh very well, not only on the field, but off the field as well. Because it's hard sometimes when we're playing in a professional league where we, as you said, we aren't compensated for like what we deserve. And but it makes it so much easier when I get to go to work and call this my job every day with my best friends and people that I love seeing every day. And they're technically my coworkers. So it makes it a lot easier to, motivate myself. And I mean, I don't even have to motivate myself. I'm motivated because I want to go and I want to be there with my teammates and I want to get better for them and with them. And, I feel like it'd be hard to be on a team where, the team didn't mesh well or didn't get along and, people were in it for themselves. But I feel like here in Chicago, it's always been the team, it's always been like one of the team, what would be the word? Like, I don't know. Like
Camaraderie?
Yeah. To be a team and like everyone's for the team and, come together and work towards that one goal. So,
right.
That makes it so much more easy easy for me. And I'd say that's the biggest thing. We've come a long way here in Chicago. I feel like in the beginning, my rookie season, I didn't even know any better. When I got drafted, I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is great. And, I showed up to training the first day, and our locker room was in the basement of an office. And,
Wow.
we couldn't keep our stuff there. We didn't have laundry done for us. We didn't have meals. We didn't have anything done for us. We were showing up and it was almost like I was going to club training. And it's crazy because you'd think like after college soccer, it would continue to get better, but almost all those things you had in college were taken for granted because I didn't have access to cold tubs. I didn't have access to trainers. Like whenever I wanted, I could just show up and be like, hey,
Right.
Bill, can you help me out with my ankle?
Hit my
It's not,
ankle, fix my
yeah,
ankle,
it's an
yeah.
off day, but I need you.
Yeah,
So we didn't
no,
have
I get it.
access to all that stuff. We couldn't keep our stuff in a locker room and think about it. We had 2 training kits. So that meant laundry every other day, which is like not something I ever did. No chance. So, but we've evolved a lot, and obviously we have a lot of those things now, but it's taken us 6 years to get there, which it's pretty cool though to see the evolution of that and see it all come together, because it only shows that our league is headed in the right direction.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to touch on, just because you have a lot of experience with it, is I don't think a lot of people realize that most players in the league are not even stopping. Like there really isn't an off season for a lot of you. And you played was it 3 or 4? I think it's 3 seasons, right? Or was it
3.
4? 3 seasons.
3.
In Australia, which I got lucky to visit you twice, and it's an unbelievable country. But I think if there's anything positive out of this pandemic, I'm sure there's a lot of girls that needed the break. And it's similar to the WNBA, right? A lot of you guys are going overseas in your off season to kind of get paid, and yeah, you stay in shape, but it's tough to kind of play a whole W league and then play a whole NWSL league and do it for 5 years in a row and not expect your body to have bruises and injuries and stuff of that such. So I'm curious, like, are you hoping that do you like that process, or would you wish for something where you guys could just exist in one league and have that proper rest time, I guess, going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think ideally it'd be nice to just have one league. Obviously, I wouldn't trade anything for my experience in Australia.
Right.
But as you said, it is a lot to go back-to-back seasons. And, at first the thought process was, well, I got to stay in shape. Might as well play on a team where I can train and,
Right.
I don't have to do this on my own. And I get to play games, because it's hard to mimic 90-minute fitness when you're by yourself. There's no way. Like, it's impossible to be able to push yourself and even find workouts that are going to get you to that fitness level. I feel like nothing mimics it other than playing in games. So I feel like that was the main reason of going over there. And then obviously, as you touched on, it's another source of income. So for a while, well, up until this year, we were only getting paid for the season, which was 7 months. And then out of season, we didn't have an income unless you got another job. But to me, I was like, I would just want to focus on, bettering like myself as a player, not, doing retail at Lululemon or something like that. So,
Yeah.
I feel like it was an easy answer for me to go play elsewhere. But it's funny because you don't realize until you're your 4th, 5th, 6th year into it that like your body isn't invincible anymore. And I feel like
Right.
in college especially, and even my first 2 years as a Red Star, I just felt like I could, play, I could work out as much as I wanted, and I wasn't gonna, feel it. And once you hit a point in your career, it's almost like your body's telling you like, whoa, like this is a lot. Like you need to hold back. And it's tough when you're like managing these injuries, but you still want to play. But I'd say that was like the biggest eye-opening thing for me, is that like my body isn't invincible anymore. I'm getting older. It's my 6th year in a league, and I've played three W League seasons and 3 NWSL seasons back to back. So technically for like
6.
6, yeah, for all
6 seasons in 3 years. A lot.
that's a lot. And that's a lot of games, put on your body. So it was good to, experience that and like learn from it, because now I know that like my body does need breaks at times, and I am getting older and I need to take care of it way better, and I need to eat right. I need to get my sleep in. I need to drink water. Like in college, I never drank water. I was like walking around. I was literally thought I was invincible. Like
I know,
I
yeah.
was drinking a lot of other things, which is
Yeah.
crazy. Talk about evolving as a person. I was
Facts.
definitely drinking a lot of
Facts.
other things,
Yeah.
which I rarely do now. And it's like crazy because I'm like, well, why does my body keep breaking down? I'm doing all the right things. And I feel like I was way worse in college and I was fine. But you just have to realize that you now it'll be what, like 22 years of playing soccer on this body, which is like crazy to think about. So, yeah.
I just bring it up because I think like the experiences are so great for you guys, but I like to put in perspective for people that like when you think about a male athletes, I think generally they're putting so much of their own money into their own trainers, into their own chefs, nutritionists. It's like you guys don't have those, at your doorstep every day for 12 months of the year. So it's like players are finding alternatives. And as you know, there's a lot of players, like you said, that are doing other forms of work to kind of make up for whatever they're losing in income for a certain amount of time. So I guess I'll end just by asking, like, where do you see kind of the future of women's soccer going? I mean, I know this is kind of like a crazy thing that happened. I'm kind of sad a little bit because I feel like it's good and bad. Like there's more places to have, forums like this where we can talk about things. And I'm hoping that a lot of you guys get more sponsorship deals, but at the same time, it's like, it's hard to get there without you guys playing and really showing yourselves as athletes. So I feel like this year you had all these great sponsorships coming into play and the league was growing. So, I mean, what do you kind of see in the next 5 years for women's soccer and for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely harder to say now that all this is going on. I think we were in a really good spot after last year, with the Women's World Cup going well. And, we broke barriers with our attendance records in all markets, which was great to see. So I feel like we were in a really good spot. And obviously, with this pandemic going on, it's put us into a tough situation where it's hard to see the short-term future for this league. But I would hope that, we can make a quick turnaround next year. And, I feel like maybe having a whole season off will only allow us to focus more time on the marketing side. And, this is women's soccer. Hey, we can play too. And, only motivate more people to attend the games next year, almost because either they are just informed of it or they are missing it. And sports are missed all around right now. And I feel like, not having it now this year, but next year will only make people want to go to games more and, get out and see, because we kind of took it for granted. It's like, oh yeah, sports. But now that we don't have it, we're like, wow, sports. It's like,
Sports.
that's like
sure.
that's huge in life. Like, just sports.
For mental health.
Yeah,
watch
exactly.
anything. Yeah.
So I think, the league's headed in the right direction. I feel like we're in a good place. And yeah, I feel like it'll be great in the next 5 years.
Yeah. Okay, to end, and this is probably for me as well, what are your 3 binge-worthy shows that everyone should watch during quarantine?
Oh, gosh. Okay. I'd say All American, but there's only 2 seasons, which is kind of sad because it's like, okay, is that binge worthy? Like I would finish that in 2 days. It was so good.
It was really good.
Homeland, I'd say I will say though, the first 4 seasons, or maybe I'd say 5 maybe, are binge worthy. And then like the 6th season, it's kind of like, okay, we need something here. Like give us something. But I've heard that the 7th and 8th season are really good. So I'm looking forward to that. Haven't gotten there yet. And then last one, I would say I'm a huge Shameless person. And it's kind of like, I watch it because it's light and it's funny. And it's kind of, some of the stuff is not realistic, like especially like in my life, but
Yeah.
it's just like funny because you watch an episode and you're like, wow, that was crazy. And then the next episode, you're like, wow, that was even more crazy. Like, is that a joke kind of thing? But it's light and it's funny to watch right before I'm going to sleep.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for doing this and chatting.
Thanks, T.